But in cases where the person is dying and they are talking about it and they know it, they will gather around the bed all the time. And I have a picture here. And it's encouraged. Now this is of the nurses gathered around with the family praying. And I just thought it was a really beautiful picture. There you go, Arla. Anyway, and people will take shifts praying for this person over and over again, and they will bring in rosary beads, and they will have candles of their chosen saints, and this will go on until the person passes away. Everybody will take shifts, and they'll bring in food, and they prefer to do this at home because they're worried that the soul will escape if they die outside of their home or their family's home. They believe that the soul, it's easier for the soul to pass straight to heaven when they die at home. And that's when the person does die, they want to cleanse that body, bathe the body, and to anoint it with a cross of olive oil. Now, they will have, before burying the body, they will have the body at home for up to about 48 hours. And the whole family will come and they will cry over the body. They will be with the body. They will pray for this whole time. And the whole family can come together and mourn together. And they will eat. They will talk. Sometimes the men will play cards and other games like that, and while talking about the deceased person, and just kind of being a big family, extended family support group. Now, they do find it very respectful, and sometimes they may invite you to the funeral itself, but not necessarily the things beforehand, because that's just for, immediate family and, well, the Hispanic family. But they would take offense if you said no for no good reason to not go, or even if you would just offer to go, they find that very respectful for the healthcare professional, because they really hold us to a high respect. But it can easily be broken as well if we're not compassionate to their culture and how they do things. But now for their funeral, they will have a wake, and they will do the whole Catholic ceremony. And what's beautiful afterwards is they tend to do a walking procession following the casket to the grave and walking through the gravesite. And it's beautiful. They will all walk holding pictures. Hopefully this is clear. But they're following it. And they like to walk behind the casket to help the soul travel and not get lost. But I just thought it was beautiful. And what was very different is the women really show their emotion. They grieve very loudly. And some people would say that they're being dramatic, but they wail and they cry and they mourn and they just let it all out. And it's beautiful because they have a mariachi band playing, and it's sort of like a celebration in comparison to how our culture has a funeral. It's very monotone, very quiet, and people might shed a tear, and we keep our space. And with them, it's just pure emotion, and it's beautiful, and they really, really respect their family and the deceased, and they don't find it gross. Like, I find a lot of people won't go near the casket. Oh, the dead bodies, They will go right up to it. A lot of times they have open casket for all of these events surrounding the burial. And it's a clear glass where they can view the body. And in these videos that I watched of these funerals, they're just sobbing openly, the women. Now, the men try to keep their composure. You'll see a few tears, but men are supposed to, be tough, just like men of my generation and before were raised to be. Nowadays, it's changing, which is good. But in that culture, it's still very macho. Men need to be macho. But anyway, back to this. It was just beautiful. They're all just being there for each other. They're taking pictures of the dead person. They're taking pictures of each other. They're videoing this whole funeral process. Like, they really want to remember everything, and they cherish it. And they, like, this is nothing to be ashamed of or scared of. Death is natural, and it's God's plan. And I really feel that way about death as well. I still feel kind of nervous when I see, you know, the body and kind of feel tight. But I myself always like to see it more of a celebration of that person than constant depression for it, you know? And they seem to really appreciate and celebrate those people, especially on their Day of the Dead, which is on October 31st to November 2nd. And what it is a celebration, a fiesta, celebrating your ancestors, the people who have passed away. And what they do is they have a lot of sugar skulls, which are my favorite. I love sugar skulls. I have sugar skull pants and everything. I'm really starting a collection, but these are just 2. And they will do their makeup and they will dress up just like this, the women, and it's just a big celebration where they have altars at home, and then they have altars at each of their relatives' grave sites, and they will have marigold flowers, and they will have all kinds of food and treats that those family members used to love and enjoy. And if it's a child's grave, they'll put toys on it. And again, these sugar skulls made of actual sugar, because they want them to have a sweet treat. And they really believe that these people are coming back over their family members, and they are celebrating with them and being with them again for that time of the year. And then when the celebrations are over, and they really, in funerals, a lot of times in our culture, we don't bring our children or expose them to death. But in their culture, they do. You will see infants and children of all ages. And I believe in that myself as well, because I talk openly with my children about death and everything. And we remember our ancestors like they do. And more so, they believe that they need to teach all the generations about all these ancestors, because if somebody stops remembering this ancestor, they will vanish forever and no longer be alive in heaven, per se, right? So this Day of the Dead is very important. Now, at the end of the Day of the Dead, they also believe that their dead dolls and the skeletons will scare the relative souls back again until the following year. Now, this culture is just, I think it's beautiful. I love it. They're just so lively and passionate. And they are really, really strong with their beliefs, for the most part. Now, another thing that I will add is when somebody is passing away, we need to be very sensitive about talking about last will and testament, about do not resuscitate, because they will want us, and you need to go to the family first about these things, but come across you've got to be really sensitive on these topics. Same as also, they believe that we should do everything we can to keep these people alive, right? But if they do pass, again, it's God's plan. But also, I just want to add that when we're coming across with, like I said, the last will and testament, do not resuscitate, and donating of organs and cremation and dissection and things like that, we need to be really sensitive, because the majority of them believe that that is desecrating the body and it will affect in the afterlife. So the ones who have maybe been here, born and raised, kind of, you know, the newer generations may believe more in donating organs and things, so it could be different. But we really need to approach everything very carefully and sensitively, and make sure that we address the family and the seniority of the family. So those are the main things that we need to remember. Well, I hope you have all learned something, and I hope you all have a great weekend.